to tell the American people and us in this room that ICE is a terrorist organization and therefore TRIA should cover the losses? Are you freaking kidding me? To even bring it up, to try to grandstand over your fake agenda to destroy our country related to terrorism. I will not yield to you on this subject, period.
Well,
it's offensive if you can't tell.
Thank you.
Silence, the time is mine.
The time belongs
What you're about to watch is not a normal hearing. This felt like the opening scene of a political action blockbuster. On one side, Maxine Waters narrating what sounded like the collapse of civilization. ICE painted as some rogue, masked task force storming neighborhoods like it's a dystopian thriller. On the other side, an Army Ranger who clearly did not show up for drama, didn't show up for theatrics, and definitely didn't show up to be intimidated. She's throwing around the word terrorist like it's a campaign slogan. She's describing federal agents as if they're villains in a summer action movie. Cities under siege. Citizens hunted. Civil conflict on the horizon. The music is swelling, at least in her version of the story. And then the camera cuts to the Ranger. Calm. Focused. Unmoved. This is someone who actually understands force. Someone who knows what terrorism really looks like. And you can practically see the moment he decides, nope, not today. You could feel the tension rising in that room. She escalates the rhetoric. He lowers his voice. She paints chaos. He prepares to bring order. And that contrast? That's when you know it's about to get serious. Because when someone who has worn the uniform hears federal law enforcement casually compared to terrorists, that's not just a disagreement. That's personal. That's offensive. And instead of exploding, he does something far more dangerous. He stays disciplined. This wasn't a policy spat. This was composure walking straight into political hysteria and refusing to flinch. And once he starts flipping the script, once he starts pointing to the policies that created the mess in the first place, the entire energy in that room shifts. If you respect strength under pressure and you're tired of theatrical outrage replacing facts, hit like, subscribe, and stay right here. Let's watch the full clip before I give you the full
President Trump
breakdown.
is having thousands of ICE agents descend on our cities, using brutal force to hunt, harass, and harm those in our communities. Whether intended or not, U.S. citizens and their businesses and property, shop holders and small business owners who are American citizens are caught in the middle of the reckless and inappropriate responses of ill-trained ICE agents, only to be left with broken windows and damaged storefronts to repair. Who pays for this? Workers and families, also U.S. citizens, drive home at the end of the day only to be snatched out of their cars by masked men with tactical gear and wind up with their windows smashed in. Who pays for this? This Sunday in St. Paul, Minnesota, over a dozen ICE agents broke down the front door of a napping U.S. citizen. They forced and trampled their way into his home, pointing their guns and yelling at his family, while this 4-year-old grandson cried. Republicans on the opposite side of the aisle, you can do better than this. You can stand up for Ms. Good, who was killed, the mother of 3, an American citizen, other American citizens, people who look like they think should be deported, people of color, American citizens who are brown, who are yellow, who are black, et cetera, stand up for the citizens of this country. Otherwise, you're going to see a civil war that is being created between ICE and the National Guard.
Jesus said we can be angry and not sin, so I'm going to give it my best shot right here. The amount of red herrings and false stuff that's being spewed for the premises behind this amendment is offensive. To tell the American people and us in this room that ICE is a terrorist organization and therefore TRIA should cover the losses? Are you freaking kidding me? If you look at the proximate cause, you talk about the laws not being followed. The previous administration fueled an invasion of our country by failing to secure our borders, by ignoring our laws, and now we have sanctuary cities who invited these people in, who served as accomplices to the crime, continuing to obstruct justice. The reality is Alejandro Mayorkas and all of his accomplices should be on trial today. And if we don't put them in jail for a really long time after due process and a trial, some future administration is going to think they can fuel an invasion, only we need to do more of it faster. Now you get mad because ICE is enforcing the laws that the previous administration failed to enforce and want the government to cover for your game. The invasion you're fueling of our country, it's treason. It's treason. And it's a complete waste of this committee's time to even bring it up, to try to grandstand over your fake agenda to destroy our country related to terrorism. I will not yield to you on this subject, period.
Well,
it's offensive if you can't tell.
Thank you for
Silence,
being a
the
gentleman.
time is mine.
Thank you
The time
for being a
belongs to
gentleman.
the
I don't care whose time it is.
The general order.
Remember January 6th.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time belongs to the gentleman from Ohio.
TRIA is a program that I support. Every contract I've entered into has a force majeure clause. And there are acts that are unanticipated, that are hard to insure the risk for. I don't think the program's perfectly designed. I wish I was here for the debate. Mr. Rose presented his amendment. I don't think I agree with the points, but I do think, hey, we probably don't have a perfect terrorism risk insurance program, but I applaud Mr. Flood, Mr. Cleaver for working together on a reauthorization. That's what we should be focused on today. The idea that we would defund ICE is probably about as dumb as defunding the police. But Minneapolis wanted to do both. And so, yes, I hope those people are held accountable. But the Financial Services Committee is not the committee of jurisdiction for that. So if you want to do that, go to one of the other committees, do your grandstanding somewhere else, and quit wasting our time in this committee. I yield
Now
back.
that you've seen the whole thing,
I
let's
see.
call it what it was. Discipline versus hysteria. The ranger was absolutely right. ICE enforcing federal law is not terrorism. It's law enforcement, period. Throwing around the word terrorist because you don't like immigration enforcement cheapens the word and insults every American who has actually faced real terrorism. And when he said that was offensive, he meant it, because some of us understand the weight of those words. Maxine Waters painted this Hollywood script about masked agents storming neighborhoods like it's the sequel to some dystopian thriller. But here's the part she doesn't want to talk about. Laws were ignored for years. Border policies were loosened. Sanctuary cities openly obstructed enforcement. And now that someone is actually enforcing the law, suddenly it's a humanitarian crisis? You don't get to light the fire and then blame the firefighter for the smoke. The ranger didn't yell. That's what made it devastating. He calmly dismantled the entire premise. He pointed out that if previous officials knowingly ignored immigration law, that's not compassion, that's dereliction. And if there are consequences for enforcement, maybe there should also be consequences for deliberately refusing to enforce the law in the first place. That's not radical. That's accountability. And then there's the irony. Democrats spent years chanting defund the police. And now they're flirting with defunding IC too. Minneapolis tried both. How'd that work out? The ranger called it exactly what it was. A waste of committee time. This was a financial services hearing, and instead of discussing policy, it turned into a theatrical audition. He shut that down with procedural precision. Wrong committee, wrong argument, wrong narrative. Waters tried to seize control, cut him off, reclaim the room. But you could feel it, the moment had shifted. The calm voice carried more authority than the shouting. One side warning about civil war and rebellion. The other side saying laws matter, precedent matters, enforcement matters. That's not extremism. That's civilization. This wasn't just a debate about immigration. It was a test of whether order still means something in this country. And when the dust settled, the ranger didn't just hold his ground. He exposed the exaggeration, the emotional manipulation, and the reckless rhetoric for exactly what it was. Calm beat chaos. Law beat outrage. And that's why this moment hit so hard.